continue here on The Pulse tonight. GCIS, Gauteng Provincial Government and the South African National Editors Forum will host a memorial service in honor of the late Thabo Masebe. Masebe spent 20 years in the civil service in political communications. Well, let's find out more about these events. We're joined by Director at the Government Communication Information System, Phumla Williams. Phumla, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Firstly, how is the morale of staff at GCIS following the passing of Thabo Masebe?
Thank you very much, Kathy, and good evening. You know, when a communicator of Thabo's nature passes on, there is no way that all of the government communicators would be shocked. And you start not believing even when you've seen the statement from the family. You start calling this one, is it true? And the other one says, is it true? Because I think a lot of people never imagine a Thabo with a strong personality, hardworking, humble, could be someone who leaves. And just like that, and when we were still benefiting from his wisdom as a government communicator. And I think you were saying that we are going to have this memorial. I think what is also so comforting to see how the members of the media that he has spent all his life making sure that they are being served, join hands with government in saying we want to be part of celebrating the life of Thabo Masebe. So yes, tomorrow morning it's a collaboration of the Gauteng government where he was working, GCIS where he did work, and the presidency together with SANEF and the members of the media. So I think it's a collaboration that we are really, really appreciative of as a government communication.
That in and of itself also speaks to his ability to be able to build relationships beyond his work as, a government and a public official, especially because it's not that he necessarily agreed with everything that has been written by the journalists who we've seen commemorate him, this past week since the announcement of his passing. And I imagine that there are probably many lessons to be learned from that.
Absolutely, Kathy. You know, Thabo is an amazing, likes debating, likes discussions, and likes shooting down some of the stories that the media has written, and also likes commending some of the stories and I think it's an incredible kind of a human being who happens to be a public servant. Thabo was able to even critique his own colleagues to say, but why aren't you responding to this? Yes, I agree, it's complicated, but you are not going to make it go away by not addressing it. And Thabo, and I was saying the other day when I was almost like reflecting to say, Thabo is a kind of a person who was not even able to shy away from saying that a politician who was in the media doing an interview, if he feels that he didn't do a good job, Thabo would, when we're reflecting, he would almost like say, you know what, your minister didn't do a good job. I think you're spinning. I mean, those are the words that Thabo would use to say, I think your boss was spinning. Why doesn't he tell the truth? And he would say it when we are reflecting and in how the stories had been covered. And Thabo was able to say that. Thabo was able to say, this policy is just not on. You can look for whatever simple English, but this is not on. But I think she was that kind of a person who was frank, but also meant good. I think Thabo had the love of this country, and I want to believe that the reason she almost like naturally gravitated towards the public service, it's his love to work in the public service to change the lives of South Africans. And his best bias in doing that has been the journalist. He did have a love-hate, but Thabo would criticize a particular story that has been written by a particular journalist. But trust me, next time you see Thabo, there's an engagement, he's standing with that same journalist having a glass of wine. So I think he did have that kind of open relationship with the media. And I think they've never failed him. They've always been there when he wants to write something. I think the members of the media, that's when you realize that contrary to what sometimes in government we think that the media is negative, but a lot of media or journalists, they do have a passion to make South Africa a better place by using their pens and writing transparently, no matter how painful that story is. But they will always try, and sometimes I have no doubt that they mean well in what they do, because that's what the Constitution demands, that they must have a freedom of speech, they must write transparently, they must also make sure that there is fairness in how they articulate their story. And that has been Thabo's explanation, especially when we discuss as communicators.
Well, I suppose it's a necessary tension, but he certainly had mastered the art of navigating those waters, regardless of how uncomfortable it may have made some colleagues in the public service. Says Phumla, thank you so much for coming on. Phumla Williams is the Director General GCIS, and that memorial service, as you heard, a joint effort then by government, GCIS, the Gauteng government, that is GCIS, and the National Editors Forum. That will be held tomorrow, and we continue to extend our condolences to especially his family during this difficult time.